Hey everyone, and welcome to Hello Chaos. Hello Chaos is a podcast that is brought to you by the Orange Whip. That is Orange WIP. And at the Orange Whip, we strive to provide founders with real-time success stories and failure forward moments. We provide you with great resources so that you can continue to grow, learn, and expand your knowledge as a founder and entrepreneur so that you can continue to grow your business and live your dreams, because we believe that every founder is doing it because they felt a way to improve the world. So here we are today, and I'm so excited to be with you. My name is Christan. I normally sit behind the producer chair over there, but today I get a chance to be the host, and I'm so excited for it because we get to interview Alane Boyd. Alane has been in the entrepreneur game for many moons, and she's been a boss at it. She's also written a book. She is a mom. She is a wife, and she is doing all this with what I feel like from externally at a grace and a poise. And so I'm so excited to introduce her. Here she is. Hello,
Thank
Alane. How are
you.
you?
Hi. Oh man, I'm wonderful. I'm excited to be here with you.
Excellent. Alane, where are you calling from?
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee, Music City. We love it. So you're in Nashville. You've been on an entrepreneurial journey. We talked a little bit beforehand. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and where you are now?
Where I'm at now in Nashville, I think life just has this really interesting way of showing you what you should and shouldn't do. And so right now I own a company that we help companies put in workflow and operations. So how do they make their companies more efficient? And that was from a lot of learning with my previous companies. What were we really good at? And I remember after I sold my last company, my business partner and I were we had getting some consulting jobs here and there on different things, and we are like, well, let's start treating this like a real company. What are we going to sell? And he's like, we're really good at operations. What if we helped other companies put in operations, workflows, and efficiency? And I was like, do you think people will buy that? And it turns out they do. And, we really do help these companies. And it's a lot of fun for us because we're living the life that we love doing and get to come and improve everybody's workplace. And because, everybody doesn't want to work forever, right? You want to leave
Right.
work at the end of the day. So that's our mission. Let's make work days easier so you can leave work and enjoy your real life. And so that's where we're at.
That's amazing. I feel like more companies should be. I feel like the hardest part for me as a founder is like, how does this help me produce more so that I can enjoy my life more and make more money? And it sounds like what you're trying to do is help people produce more by being more efficient, right?
Right. And it can be produced more or being done at 3 instead of 7:30 p.m. so you can go and do other things
That
and
sounds
have that
amazing.
that work-life balance that people love to talk about.
I feel like a lot of people talk about it and few people achieve it. I'm trying
Really
to be
get
an
onto
achiever here. I'm trying to
it.
be an overachiever.
Yeah.
That's very fun. So, what was your first entrepreneurial venture?
Well, I guess my first one was the cliche lemonade stand with my best friend growing up. Man, we crushed it one summer. But
Nice.
my my real first one was I had finished. I went to school to be an engineer, and I actually hated engineering. And so I started. But I was better at sales. I could talk to engineers, so I started. I had a lot of relationships in this one industry I was in, and so I was like, you know what, I could actually do this for other companies for myself, right? So I went and negotiated with about a handful of companies that I would rep them and their products. And so I just had my first company was basically a sales rep for about 5 manufacturers.
That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. So, what made you get it? What? Okay, so you went into engineering, and
Yeah.
just for some backstory for everybody else, she went into engineering, and then she went and got her master's degree in mathematics.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we've been in this very mind math centric inner like direction. So, how did we get to engineering, and then how did we find it boring? I'm so
Well,
curious.
so my whole life, I didn't know I was good at math, but I kept doing really well in it. And like when I was in 6th grade, they put me in 7th grade algebra, and that wasn't a thing. I went to Catholic private school. Like it wasn't like nowadays. I feel like they you can finish it with an associate's degree in high school. Like things were very common like that, but in my high school it wasn't. So they put me in 7th grade algebra. And so I was like, wow, I'm good at math. I didn't even realize it. And then kind of going through high school, I was starting to kind of realize it too, because I'm doing my math homework, and my best friend, who I thought was smarter than me, is like, how do you know how to do this? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's very clear. Anyway, so I go to college, and what I wanted to do was be a boss. That's my whole life. I just want to be a boss, and I want to wear cute outfits. So that's my goal, right? Doesn't matter.
I love that.
How I got there, what I did, but I'm going to be a boss. I'm going to wear really cute outfits. And so I was going to go into business and entrepreneurship. And man, I was so bored in those classes. They just, it's a lot of concepts because none of us were business owners. So, it was very dry to me, very dry content. And so I was like, okay, I'm super bored, but I was really good at math. So I'm going to be an engineer. And so, and also at that time, I realized I was going to be 20 years old when I graduated college, and I still had another year on my scholarship. So I was like, well, I gotta milk this as much as I can.
Run it back, super lap.
Yeah. So that's when I added an engineering degree. And actually in school, I really loved it. It was a lot of fun. My professors were such wonderful mentors to me. And
yeah,
they were so excited to have a girl and have somebody interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
I didn't fit the mold. So they were really great and really helped me get additional scholarships. So when I graduated, I went to work for an engineering firm. Actually, I did an internship in an engineering firm, and I'm like, this is what y'all do every day? They're like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm like, no, this is not awesome. I've been sitting here all day and only looking at my computer and Excel spreadsheets. And they're like, well, what did you expect? I was like, I guess I didn't know, which is also why it's so important to do internships in your field so you can learn, well,
100%.
What don't you actually like, so you can go and do things you like. So I graduated and went and started working for a manufacturer. I didn't particularly like the position I was at, but I realized when I could go and do this for other companies, I didn't have to just stick with one. Like people have businesses just repping a bunch of manufactured products. And so that's what I ended up doing.
Wow.
And to answer how I got my master's in mathematics is I just always thought I wanted to have a master's degree, and owning my own company gave me that flexibility. I could go to school and run my company at the same time.
That is very cool. And I want to pause. Like and now I come from a very church background. So I'm going to say this word. You just ministered to me whenever you said, I just wanted to wear cute outfits and be a boss, because my whole life, I'm like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, but I want to be a boss. That's what I want to do. I want to be the boss. And as I watch my 5-year-old now, I got a 5-year-old, and we've told him his whole life, like, hey, we just believe you're a leader and you're going to, do great things in the world. And he had this thought the other day. We go, hey, you're going to have a principal at your new school, because he's going into elementary school. And he goes, what's a principal? I said, the principal is like the leader of the school. He goes, I'm a leader. I'm the principal. I said, nope, no, you're not.
Good self-confidence.
But I think it's that gear that's inside of founders of like, no, I'm going to be the boss. Like, yeah. I don't know what it is yet, but we're going to be the boss of whatever it is next. And you got to have a little bit of that self-confidence to make it in this. That really blessed me. Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it.
A loaded answer to your question, but we covered a lot of ground in that.
Look, I loved it. Thank you so much. Okay, so you started this company of selling, being basically a sales rep for multiple manufacturers and manufactured goods. What did you do with that company? Is it still up and running, or did you sell it? How'd that go?
No, I ended up just closing it. Around the time that I was about to graduate my master's degree, I'd been running my company for a few years. I was actually a little burnt out on the industry, and I wasn't enjoying it very much anymore, and I wanted to change. And I had a friend that was working for a company, and he's like, you know what, we could use somebody like you that's got some tech behind them and has a kind of an entrepreneurial sense. Let me introduce you to the owner. And so that's when I just I ran my company for a little bit longer while I was transitioning, but I ended up just closing that one.
Okay. How was that? How did that feel to close that?
It took me a little time to let go, and I was still managing a few city contracts. Well, I mean, it was also easy money. They would just call me and reorder, and then I would
Yeah,
go
that
to
makes
the
sense.
manufacturer and say, "Hey, I need
Yeah,
this." So I milked it for a little longer because I did have to, a hard time letting go. That
sure,
ego gets in the way, and even though I was ready to leave that and pursue other things, my ego also didn't want to let me let go of it. So I
sure.
dragged it on for a little bit. I had some hard times with that.
I mean, I imagine it's that double-edged sword of the ego that tells you that you can be the boss and wear cute outfits is also the
Mhm.
ego that goes, "No, I made this. I can't give it up."
Yeah.
It's that weird double-edged sword.
I've ran
Part of
into
it,
that a few times. It's hard to let go of and I hate the word failure because
sure,
people change their minds and do other things in life, and so I hate that with entrepreneurship and owning businesses that we've gravitated toward this idea of failure when it's really like I didn't want to do that thing anymore, or maybe I was too immature for that time that I was at in my life, but I've learned a lot from that. And so, but yeah, I've ran into those instances in a few of my businesses where I was like, actually, I hate this. I do not want to do this company anymore. I need to let go of this.
mm. So you said a few of your businesses. How
Yeah.
many businesses have you ran in your adult
Altogether,
lifetime?
probably six. Um, two. So my first one early on, and then I'll tell you about two of them that. Well, I'll tell you about one of them because it's kind of it shows you how crazy that people can get. So I was pregnant with my son, and we live a little bit outside of Nashville,
Okay.
and it's a small town, and I was running my company. We had 100 employees all over the country. I was traveling
Wow.
between them. I was handling contracts with like BMW and GMC and Toyota. So I was traveling to visit with these manufacturers, with these big car dealership brands that we worked with, and then managing all of our employees. So I become pregnant, and I'm like, oh my God, I actually do need cute outfits. I have to be able to fit in my clothes. And I have to go to these meetings still. And my mom came to visit and she was like, Alane, I want to take you shopping for some really cute maternity clothes for you to wear to your meetings. I'm like, Mom, that sounds great. Let's do it. There was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to buy any maternity clothes. And so I decided that I was going to open a maternity store.
Okay.
I opened when I was 8 months pregnant and I had my son 2 weeks later. I'm still running my other company. Like this wasn't Elaine sold her other company and now is going to do this cute maternity store and have a baby. Like, no, I didn't even have maternity leave. Like, I was breastfeeding my son with my laptop on pillows working.
And
So,
what is your husband saying in all this?
yeah, my husband, I mean, you got two entrepreneurs in the room together and they're like, yes, great idea. Let's do it.
I feel like I would look at my wife. Which I'd say about that. My wife started her PhD while pregnant with our child, our second child, and it was just like, what are you? I remember going like, yeah, this is fine, it's totally fine. But now if I look back and I go, what were we thinking? This was a terrible idea. But maybe not. Maybe it's a great idea. Who knows?
I don't
See how
know.
it
For
goes.
me, it was not a good idea. I was so tired. My son hated to sleep. And he did not sleep through the night until he turned 7. So it wasn't just like that baby stage of that sleep.
7 months,
No, 7
7 years.
years old. 7 years old. He did not sleep through that. So I was so sleep deprived and also just so naive. Like you think, oh, I'm gonna have a baby and I'm gonna have my husband's gonna help me, my mom's gonna help me. We've got this family that lives here. Yes, they do help, but there is so much more that has to get done besides, what those things. And I had too many things on my plate. So that lasted less than a year. And I was like, wow, I hate retail because you have to have somebody there. And I remember I was on a business trip and my employee's like, well, I can't come to work today. I'm like, then we're just going to close the store?
Like, how does this work?
Like, no. She's like, I'll just put a sign up. And I was like, we don't put signs up. We open the store. Our hours are 11 to 6 or 10 to 6. So it was just very stressful
Yeah.
for me and adapting that mindset. And I was like, you know what? After I really closed it about a year later, I was like, learning about things that you don't like. You know what I like about tech? I can be anywhere in the world as long as there's internet
Yes.
and I can do it. I don't have to be attached to one place. And for me, I learned that that is really important, that I
Totally.
really like having that flexibility and not having to be somewhere when you're getting something started like a retail shop.
That's really smart. One of the things I've always had a dream about is starting a restaurant, and the thing or like a coffee shop kind of diner. Came out of that world through college and everything, loved it. And the thing that stops me from doing it is like, you're married to this thing. You can't leave this thing. You
Yeah.
can't disappear off of it. You can't just say, well, sorry, close today. It's like, no, you got to be there. But so what you're saying is you found that the lifestyle you wanted to live was better conducive to a tech world, and you could build a business around that to support your life.
Yeah.
So how did that, because that's not something I feel like they teach you in business school, right? That's not something you got out of Louisiana Tech. That's something they got out of life and experience. So what has been the most rewarding part of your journey as an entrepreneur?
Learning, really. So I'm hard on myself, but I've really
Sure.
had to learn it's okay to be hard on yourself, but also to see the progress that you've made. And now, with having so many years of entrepreneurship, I've sold 2 software companies. I can now look at, and even like the maternity store, that's like, so it shows how crazy I am. But like, I learned so much running that company. And so like, what's rewarding to me is now at this point is I can recognize the things that I've learned, because this company is successful, not because of what I'm doing in it, because of all the things that I've learned over 15 years of owning companies, selling companies, negotiating with partners, negotiating with, Fortune 500 companies. Like, so now I really do get excited. Like, people pay me to go do this stuff because I have so much knowledge on this thing.
That's amazing. I'll go back to it. All right. So we've got a sales business that does sales in between these. We got a maternity store. What are the other 4 or 5 businesses we're missing here?
Okay. So, so I mentioned I had a company when I opened the maternity store.
Yep.
That was, so we had, we worked with car dealerships doing their social media and reputation management. That's what we started off doing. Then we built a software platform that was a contest engine, so that dealerships and actually radio stations loved it, because all their listeners would go to a website to enter in their first name, their name and email address. So now radio stations could pull from their listeners and actually build a database of their listeners.
And then they could sell their ads and know that they had a right ROAS.
Yeah, and they sold ads on the landing pages itself for it. So that was one of the software platforms. Then the other one is, while we were doing social media and reputation management for dealerships, what kept coming up is, we all like to be stressed and have negative thoughts about car dealerships, but they're really not all bad. No. And most of them really are great, but they're really terrible at getting positive reviews from their customers. Man,
people only say bad things.
They only want to go say bad things. So the software platform that we built was we tied in with the dealership's database, so that when a customer left the store, whether they purchased a vehicle or got their vehicle serviced, it received a text message from our system saying, hey, how would you rate our service? And if they had a good experience, it would lead them to like Google or Facebook reviews or somewhere to leave a review.
That's smart. That's really smart.
So that one was a fun one.
I would say that feels like very rewarding, because you take somebody. Yeah, I feel like you always hear jokes about the sleazy used car dealership, or somebody, I bought a lemon from so and so and so and so. Look, there's this guy in town who has a massive magnet on the side of his truck that said, "Don't buy a truck from blank dealership."
Oh man,
this one's a lemon. And I was just like, I feel like all you ever hear is the negative, negative. But you have millions of cars on the road. Clearly, they can't all be negative.
Right.
Smart. Gosh, that's smart. That's real smart. All right. So we got software. We got 2 software companies. We got a maternity store. We got the sales. All right. Where we at? We're at 4. Now what's number 5?
We're at 4. Okay. Then we've got Burger Fit. So I sold those companies in 2018. And Burger Fit was something that had been in my head for a couple of years before we sold. And that's when I started in retirement.
First off, way to go retiring. This is amazing. What is Burger Fit? I got to know.
So one thing that I started doing, so my dad is about to be 87 years old. and I have an older brother, and they are the pickiest eaters of anyone I've ever met on planet Earth. They only want to eat bread, pie, cake, and meat.
That's all I want to eat. I mean, I just don't.
Right, right. To be a healthier person, we try to add in some vegetables and stuff. So, but you can't get them to eat it. And so they love eating burgers. And what I kind of was thinking about is, nobody really asks what's in a burger before they eat it. They might ask after they eat a bite and they're like, man, what's in this burger? This is so good. So I was like, I'm just going to try hiding vegetables in the burger and see if they'll eat it. And they were eating beets and zucchini and kale, and like I came up with about 25 different recipes, Brussels sprouts, like,
I
and
love
it's mixed in with meat. So it's not, these aren't vegetarian burgers. They're about 20% vegetables. And so it worked. And I started doing it at, like, if we had barbecues and stuff and people would come over, and I was like, okay, so people are liking this. And then after we sold it, I was like, I'm going to pursue, I'd done tech, and so I wanted to do something not tech again. And so I wrote the cookbook. And where I got burnt out is, well, COVID happened while I was doing this, and going to a food show where you're putting samples of your burgers out. There are so many things around food safety for good reason. You don't
Sure.
want to make somebody sick. And it got to be so challenging for me through COVID. And getting to a place, because I live outside of Nashville. So if I needed to go to a certified commercial kitchen that you could rent,
Yeah.
sometimes getting through traffic, sometimes it would take me 3 hours to get there. You would just be sitting in Nashville traffic
No.
forever. And I got really burnt out after about a year of doing that and shipping products from here to Florida. We were meeting with Disney, but this is all through COVID. So you have all these other challenges on top. And it kind of got back to, I wasn't enjoying it anymore. And I felt like I did when I was running the maternity stores. I was so, um, like I had this like little small world I could operate in, and I had to go to a commercial kitchen. Then I had to figure out a freezer truck to get it from Nashville to Orlando so that the food didn't spoil. And it was like so many things that I just was like, I really enjoy tech.
I think I want to go back to tech.
Yeah, like there's a reason I did this before, and I need to remember this so I don't repeat the cycle.
That's such a brilliant idea. I'm gonna now start hiding beets and Brussels sprouts into my 5-year-old's burger. He
Yeah.
is so picky. It is unfortunate. It is very unfortunate. You just gave me like joy and hope yet again. Yet again, you ministered to me. Okay, so we have 5 being burger fit,
Yes.
and is 6 the one we're on now? Or we got another one in
Yeah,
between
and I
burger fit
was
here.
running, and I should say too, I was running 6 during Burger Fed too. So when we sold, I was talking to my business partner, and we're trying to figure out what we want to do next. And he was like, well, what are we selling? And what are we gonna call the company? And I was like, well, we're gonna help companies with their biggest goal and their biggest obstacle. And so we named it BGBO, which is very, like, in hindsight, a terrible idea because people cannot remember BGBO, and it's so hard to like spout off. But that's how we came up with the name. And we started consulting. At first, we were kind of all over the place, and then one day we're like, okay, what are we selling? And he's like, we're really good at operations. And that's what we did really well at our last company. Aside from tech, you still have to run your company somehow.
Yeah.
And so we were a really lean machine. Our employees, we learned how so they could leave work at the end of the day. They didn't have to check their email all night. They could go on vacation and enjoy vacation. And so when we got acquired, we had to stay on for a period of time. And that's when we realized, like, wow, this is actually not something every company does. This makes our knowledge special and how we do
Yeah.
things. And so he's like, I think we can help companies with this. And I just like looked at him like, you think people are going to buy this? Like, if we sell it, people are going to buy it. Turns out they do. And, just like you would any other part, like you need a marketing expert, or you need to know how to do drip campaigns or build a software. Like there's all these things that you need to know as a company, and you can't be good at all of them.
Nope.
And so that's where we launched BGBO. And then we have a software platform that we launched last year under it called Arvo.
Amazing. So would you consider yourself a serial entrepreneur?
Yeah, I guess because I do keep repeating it, and
Yeah,
I also really enjoy the journey. So, at some point, if there's a buyer for BGBO or Arvo or both, like I would entertain that because I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things I want to do. And so I don't know what the future looks like, but I could see myself always running some company.
that's that's really honestly, I feel like it's encouraging because I've talked to several people who are in the entrepreneurial space. I got a buddy of mine who he's a 50% investor in like 12 companies, and he goes and he spends time in every single one of them for about 6 months, and then he goes to the next one and spends 12, 6 months in them. And I'm just like, I love this because I feel like the American ideal was you go to work and you work really hard and you build your little castle over here on the side and you hopefully you have a good life, right?
Right.
And I feel like there's these sect of people that are serial entrepreneurs that kind of go, yeah, but what if we did this? And they keep the dream alive. I feel like you got dreamers who are putting wheels to the ground and making things happen. What I'm keep on hearing from you is you wanted a lifestyle
Yeah.
to some level, or you wanted your employees to have a lifestyle. Hey, I want y'all to go home and go enjoy your family, go on vacation, and not think about work. What has driven a lot of that inside of you? Because that's more of a missional mind in my mind. Like to me, at least, is like I have a mission to help people have a better life. Is what it feels like from you. Correct me, obviously, if I'm wrong. But
Yeah.
what drives you?
Yeah. I mean, our mission is to help make work days easier. That's what our mission is. Because, you know, as Americans, you're right. Like, and we're raised to like think work, 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 be successful. And our mental health gets affected by that.
Yeah.
And stress was killing me faster than any bad food I was eating, anything. And I had started having an autoimmune reaction
Wow.
where from chronic stress, where my face would be, I'm not joking you, it would be about this big. It would just swell. It was so painful. My hands, it would have this rash, and it would burn. I looked like a burn victim, and I
Oh
couldn't open
man.
my eyes. I had a meeting with Porsche one morning and a huge dealership group in Florida, and I had to cancel that morning because I couldn't even open. I couldn't have driven to the airport. I couldn't have gotten through the airport. People would have had to help me. Like I was visually impaired because I was so swollen, and I realized how much chronic stress it was showing me and to me in a different way than it shows
Yeah.
other people. And it was like, I have to change this lifestyle that I have. Life can't be all about work and success and work and success because you're just killing yourself at the end of the day, is exactly what you're doing. And
Yeah.
so I realized that having life outside of work is extremely important, and having hobbies outside of work is really important so your mind can just wander and have creativity. And it's funny when you do those things and it becomes natural, that it helps you at work, because when you're just drilling, you are missing a bigger picture.
Absolutely.
You're so far in the hole that you can't even get a ladder out of it. You're only
What
seeing dirt walls.
So, I mean, I feel like for me at least, what I've seen it happen is nobody intends to bury their life in work,
No.
but you slip into it. And it's just like you look up after 6 months and you go, how did I get here? I don't even know that I enjoy anything that's happening around me. Like, what is going on with my life? Oh, that's
It's
miserable.
really hard.
Yeah. So you mentioned hobbies being like a healthy outlet for creativity. What are some of your hobbies? Like, what do you like to do?
I have some really favorite ones. And
Love
kind of
this.
to your point, I know, to your point, like having accountability for me so that I can't work myself to death. So I do boxing is one of my hobbies. And
That's
so I
cool.
go to boxing class, but I also wanted to get better at it, not just going to class. So I do 2 private lessons a week. So that's accountability. I have to show up twice a week to my boxing coach, and I'm taking a break from work, man. I leave there and my face is so red. My husband is like, "Are you okay? Are you dying?" I'm like, "I just went to boxing and I might be, but
That
it
might
feels
be.
good." And so I started. I've been doing boxing on and off for about 12 years.
Why boxing? Just curious.
Why boxing?
Yeah.
So my dad was a boxer in the army.
Oh,
And so
cool.
boxing, but he wouldn't let me box. So my dad, he's a very interesting man because almost anything in life that I ever said I wanted to do, he's like, Go, babe, go do it. But I told him I wanted to be a fighter, and he was like, girls don't do that. And I was like, okay. So I waited till I was an adult and could make my own decisions. I was already a pretty aggressive kid, so I think there was a little bit of a worry
He was a little
there.
afraid.
Yeah, of what if I do? But I could have been a great boxer back then. So that's how I got into it, and now my dad's really cute. He comes to some of my boxing lessons, and my son boxes, and he comes, so he's
That's so
real
cool.
supportive now. So that's one of my hobbies. I play tennis, so I've played tennis my
Dope.
whole life, and I was having a hard time getting back into it, and a lady was like, "Hey," she saw me on the court with my son, teaching him how to play, and she said, "Do you play?" I said, "Well, I used to. I haven't played in about 15 or so years." She's like, "Well, I do a ladies' night on Wednesdays. Do you want to come be a part of it? You're great." I'm like, "Sure." I had to go buy all like new out. I need new cute outfits. I had to go buy new
Needed
cute
a cute outfit. Yeah.
had to get some new tennis shoes. So, but now that's accountability for me. Every Wednesday night, I'm out there. Today's Wednesday. We're going out and playing tennis. And so I've gotten back in. She does fundraisers on the weekend, and it's helped me reprioritize not working, because on a Saturday I could easily do a little bit of work. But now
Sure.
I go to boxing class on Saturday morning at 9, and usually we'll play a round of tennis too
That's
with my
awesome.
friends. And then not sport related, I love leather working.
Okay. You are just a Jill of all trades, and I love this. I absolutely,
I
because
am not good at any of it.
you don't have to be. That's a
Yeah.
great thing. You can just enjoy it and and I don't know. I love that. I'm that way. My wife will look at me and she goes, "Hey, when was the last time you went fishing?" I went, It's been too long." She's like, "Yeah, I think you need to disappear and go fishing." And for me, it's like literally going to hide in the woods and go fly fishing is my hobby of hobbies.
Well, you should
Um,
have been with us this weekend. We were in the mountains of Colorado fly fishing. It was amazing.
I'm so jealous. It's been so where we live at in Greenville, the water is too hot right now. The trout will not rise. And so I'm hoping we're catching a break in the weather. So I'm going out next Sunday. Like
Oh, thank
I don't typically skip church. Like me and the family go to church together, but it's the day that works and we're going. I'm
yeah. Hey,
disappearing.
being outside can be your church.
Absolutely.
You can be really close to God out there in nature.
That's it. That's 100%. It's like we don't do it often, but man, we got to get out there and have a few beers and enjoy the river a little bit. But
Good for you.
yes, absolutely. That's man. So I'm so fascinated. Like I knew this was going to be a great podcast. I knew like everybody needs to hear this because as I'm reading your bio and LinkedIn, I'm going, this is the most fascinating human being I've ever read in a bio.
Thank
Um,
you.
so so when we say author, the cookbook is the book.
Yeah.
What was that process like?
It was brutal. And actually, under Burger Fit, I have 3 books that I published. So it's so much work, and I, I'm a really good person at progress is better than perfect. But when you're publishing a book, not that it's perfect by any means, but it was like, okay, well, now I need an editor to rework my words, and I'm not a really strong writer. And so there was a lot of feedback on that process on about correcting. And I'm like, whatever, it's fine. Like, let's just leave it. I'm really blunt to the point. And they're like, but you could add a little bit more here. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the photography, getting the plates and everything. Oh,
Product photography is real.
it was so brutal. And I did that twice. And then um, my third book that I did was a lifestyle journal. Because what I realized, what I was really creating with Burger Fit was a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And even though I had the idea because my dad and my brother were unhealthy eaters, it really starts at childhood.
Mhm.
Especially in our society now, oh, well, my kid doesn't like that, so I'm going to feed him this or her this. And it isn't, no, this is what's for dinner and you can choose to eat or not, right?
Yeah.
Or adapting their palate. So we have a lot of adults that have a 2-year-old palate because they never trained their taste buds differently.
Yep.
I like French fries, mac and cheese, and ketchup like anybody else,
Sure.
but there needs to be, more vitamins and nutrition. So I realized through that journey of Burger Fit and who I realized was my target market, which were moms, is that there was really a bigger need for healthy lifestyles. And how do you do that when you're raising a family? Because you might have a significant other that isn't on board. You might
Mm-hmm.
have multiple children with different needs. And how do you really adapt to that and get everybody on board with, no, we're going to eat healthy and we're going to take baby steps to get there? Because you can't just go to a kid and say, you got to eat these beets and Brussels sprouts. Like, how do we get from A to B now that we've
Yeah.
already had this life where they haven't had to make these decisions? And also because I had those episodes with that autoimmune disease, it was called angioedema. I
Mm-hmm.
realized there is this aspect of health and healthy eating, but there also needs to be the aspects of health that are mental health. And how do you get to being in a state of not in chronic stress? And so I was really kind of blending those together in Burger Fit.
That is, I'm trying to digest this because I have a picky eater. My 5-year-old's very picky. And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, because it feels like you have two ditches. You have the ditch of, well, let me cater to you and give you whatever you want. And the other ditch is, here's what we got. You better eat it. And it's like, there's a big middle road, but it's not neat. It's not easy to navigate. It's really not. And I love that you've created this business because it was built around your family and needs that you felt specifically with your family, right? And so that comes from the heart. And then you have these other ones that are like, hey, I see this opportunity to grow a business. What has been your favorite business?
The one that we have now.
The one you
So
have
talking about making work days easier. I mean, I could talk forever on what could that look like at a company. And it could be as simple as something, making email templates for your team that they have access to so they're not having to search old emails. That can make a workday easier for a small business.
Yeah.
Having access to a knowledge base. Like, there are so many aspects to this, and I get to talk about it all day long to companies. How do you automate a sales engine for you? Especially when you're small and you don't have a 20-person sales team going knocking on your door. How do you do it? Well, there's an automation you can do, and I can show you how to do that. So this one, and this one, because I worked so hard and made so many mistakes in every business, even the ones I sold, man, I look back and said, if I would have done these things differently, we would have been 50 times more successful. But if it hadn't been for those, then I wouldn't have the knowledge I have now, right? So I can't go back and change that. So that's what I'm really enjoying now is, and having all these blessings to where I can, if my son's third grade classroom is doing Cougar Run on Friday, I can be there. I have that. I have built boundaries in my work life now to where, an entrepreneur could say, well, I can't take that time off. Like, I couldn't be gone. Clients would need me, employees would need me. No, this is my time. I can take that time. And I've learned how to handle that. And also realize my son's only going to be in third grade this one time, maybe. Well, most likely he'll be in the third grade one time. And
we hope.
Yeah. And so I need to be there. Those are important.
Absolutely. One of the things that I say around my house is my babies get one daddy, and that's me. I mean, they get one daddy, and I'm going to be there for every bit of it. One of the gifts of running my own business is that, hey, look, I'm going to build the schedule, and nobody has to know why I can't be somewhere else. I can be right here.
Right.
So we're getting really close to our time. So we always ask, or one of the slogans we have for Hello Chaos is where aha meets oh shit, because I feel like every entrepreneur has that moment. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, this is the idea. Like, we need Burger Fit in the world. And the other moment is, oh shit, that's not going to work. So what is your greatest aha moment?
Oh my gosh. Well, that because of the confidence I have in what I'm saying, that I can sell a lot of different things. And sometimes I come up with new products on the fly that I can sell. I'm like, this is a great thing. I can sell this. And then I'm like, oh shit. Now we've got to figure out how we're going to figure it out. Yeah, some of my ideas haven't been great. It might have cost us money more than we made. But yeah, that's a lot of it is I have this idea. We're going to try it out. And now we've got to actually deliver.
Yeah. So you would say your greatest oh shit moments also, oh, I got this great confidence. I can sell whatever I want to, but now we got to figure this out on the back end. I've already sold something.
Hey, you know what, team? I need help figured out how we're actually going to deliver this thing I just sold.
I love
Sometimes it
that.
works out great. I mean, but there's been a couple of oh shit moments where I'm like, maybe that wasn't my best idea.
I run a handyman business, and so there've been many moments where we walked in and said, "Oh yeah, we can definitely do that." And I immediately leave. Like, can you hit me a quote? I'm like, I'll send it to you because I have no idea. I'm just taking a great guess at that I can fix that or I can deliver. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Immediately go home and start Googling the YouTube and stuff because I'm like, please God, let me be able to do this.
We'll have to see how many
Well,
5-star reviews you get.
hey, look, right now
We
we're
figured
holding strong. We're doing all right. Mostly 4 and 5 star. The good thing is, I think this is the other side. Like, man, my character is going to uphold the fact that if I do something terribly wrong, I'm going to make it right. I'm going to own my mistakes. That's so much fun. Oh my goodness. Well, what would be one massive piece, or not maybe massive, but like what would be one piece of advice you would want to set or to tell any founder getting into the game? Like, hey, I want to start a business. Like, what's the thing you would tell them?
Put yourself out there. Do it. You might find out you hate being in business. Great. You know what you're going to be then after years of going through this? You're going to be an awesome leader in another company, even if it doesn't work out. There's nothing wrong with putting yourself out there, and don't ever look at it as a failure. It's like going to college. You leave with so much knowledge of running a business that you are going to be an amazing asset to your company or to somebody else's in the future, no matter how the cards fall.
Man, Alane, you have been truly a gift. I feel like more people need to know about you. Like this, I'm hoping more people because
this is my opportunity. They're going to hear me on this podcast.
yes, and I hope you're on a lot more for other people as well because I feel like you have a wealth of knowledge, and I love that you're bringing a wholeness to people. Are you bringing a wholeness to being a founder, and you want to bring that into the world? That's just amazing. Where can let's ask this: where can people find you at, and where can they find? You said it was Arvo and BGBO.
Yeah.
How can we find you?
So I'm very active on LinkedIn. So you can find
Okay.
me on LinkedIn, Alane Boyd. And my company, askarvo.com, is my software. Arvo means afternoon in Australian slang, by the way. So you get to enjoy your afternoons when you use
No
Arvo.
way.
And bgboco.com is my other company.
Amazing. Well, hey, we're going to make sure that all that's in the show notes for everyone. But make sure you hit up Alane on LinkedIn, Alane Boyd, and then go check out these because I know that there are founders that are listening to this that need some help with automation. It is the operational efficiency so that they can truly grow their business and do it in a healthy way. So that's going to be it for Hello Chaos today. And we hope that you guys will check out the new edition coming out on Sunday. We got a new edition for September, Orange Whip. It is going to be all about financial. So how do you get financial help? How do you grow as a financial business? Like, how do you actually get money to start your business and to grow your business and to fund your business? So we're going to be talking about all that in this next edition. And that is at Orange Whip, OrangeWIP.com. So y'all make sure you check that out. Alane, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
And I'm going to be checking out Burger Fit too. I don't know. I got to look at these menus and these recipes right now. So anyway, you have a great day and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Christan. Bye.
All right. Bye.